This last year, it's been rough on all of us. Maybe some of us feel like we've been forgotten. Maybe we felt like we've been forsaken. And even Jesus says that when he was on the cross. If you really want to dig into the story, we're
Mhm.
talking with Jud Wilhite from Central Church. He's a best-selling author. And Jud, when Jesus was dying on the cross, he cries out. One of the last things that he says is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And I've had so many people ask about that over the years. It's like, what is Jesus saying there? Is Jesus denying God? Is there something that I don't know about the Jewish story? Like when Jesus is crying out, what is he really saying?
Well, yeah, it's a direct quote from a psalm, right? Like, so in one sense, if people that would have known their Bibles, their Hebrew Bibles, and been sort of dialed in would have heard this before and would have referenced it and potentially even gone back to it, and it would have informed kind of their understanding of what they were hearing in the moment. But I think he's just acknowledging through that, like, this is part of what's happening to me and part of what I'm going through right now, uh, in offering his life for us. So it's a throwback to that psalm, which, keep talking, Scott. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, well, yeah, King David. Yeah, it was a psalm. It was something that King David wrote hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus was ever born on this earth, right? And so he's quoting King David, the patriarch.
Yeah, totally. And the psalm is fascinating because it actually references, to Psalm 22:1, where he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? And it's this reference, but then there's other things in the psalm that I think can give us a lot of insight. He says, my God, I cry out to you by day, but you do not answer; by night, but I find no rest. Anyway, he goes on. It's where he talks about, I'm scorned by other people, I'm despised by people. All who see me mock me. Um, just it's pretty fascinating as you read through the psalm how it in many ways Jesus is fulfilling this psalm like a prophecy, and he's fulfilling so much of what the psalm is laying out about his experience, about the people surrounding him. So there's a lot here in Psalm 22, and it'd be worth your listeners just to go back and give it a read to get a bigger framework for what Jesus is referring to.
I think it's one of the most profound things you can read on Good Friday
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it connects so many of the dots of what the Hebrew scriptures were talking about the Savior was coming, what you think Jesus is going to be, but who he actually is, his relationship to God the Father. And you're like, I don't understand the Trinity, but this ties this together in such a rich way.
Well, yeah, and to realize that God is writing a story that goes back thousands of years, and these are not interconnected pieces. This is a fulfillment of hundreds and thousands of years of prophetic words God's given his people, even prophecies that didn't make sense in the moment. Even moments like in Psalm 22, where if you read it in a vacuum, you're like, well, that's weird. That sounds like Jesus. And then, you get to Jesus, and Jesus is quoting the psalm, like, yeah, go back and look. That's exactly what's happening here. So
Every good little Jewish boy and girl that were standing there watching Jesus die on the cross and be like, wait a second, he just quoted David. Does that mean I need
yeah.
to go back and read my scriptures?
Well, yeah, and just the cross. I mean, the cross was such a horrific thing. I think it's fascinating that the early church community didn't really use the cross as a symbol of worship the way we do today. They didn't really wear it on jewelry, or you don't really find it until the 4th or 5th century carved in a church door, like 200 years after crucifixion had been made illegal. So this was traumatic. It was shocking. And in fact, when you read through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, when they talk about Jesus being crucified, they only describe it in one word. They crucified him. They never elaborate. And I think it's because when crucifixion was happening, it was so intense and so brutal. It only took one word for everybody to know exactly what was going on. There's just some things you don't speak about. Right. That's actually, I think, a Taylor Swift lyric. But, like there's just some things in life, if I remember, it's like this song about, suffering and doctors and soldiers. And there's some things that you just don't speak about that you see. Right. This was what's happening, I think, in the Gospels with Jesus' crucifixion. They crucified him. That's enough. There's nothing else we need to say to know it was awful. And that's what God went through for us because of his love for us and his mercy towards us. So it took hundreds of years for the church to then embrace the cross as really the primary symbol of God's love. It's like, it'd be like an electric chair hanging around your neck, right? Or, like whatever, right? A noose, whatever, like the way people killed other people and had their own justice and death penalties throughout the centuries. That's what the cross was. Somebody once said, like, if Jesus was shot, would we sing of the blessed 357 Magnum? But that only God has the power to take a symbol of execution and murder and turn it into a symbol of love and redemption. That's what he did with the most horrific symbol of murder in history, the cross. He turned it into this symbol of his incredible love for all of us.
Yeah. And I'm just thankful for his radical grace that he has for all of us. That we get second chances and third chances and 27 chances. And we're here today remembering that.
That is right. And in the end, it does come back to that, I think, for all of us. It certainly does for me. I just go back and look at my own life and just am so grateful for all the mercy God shows me, not just before I became a follower of Jesus, but every day since. That grace is not just grace for what we might call salvation when we first come to faith. It's grace that sees us through every single day. I need the same grace just as much today as I did in the beginning.
So good. Well, we're talking with Jud Wilhite from Central Church, and you can actually find all of their experiences that they're having for Easter and for Palm Sunday, all online at centralonline.tv or in the Central app. Thanks for spending some time with us today, Jud.
Thank you so much, Scott. Grateful for SOS. Thanks for the opportunity.